Commander Hyun walked slowly across the metal floor of his spaceship. The stellar dawn was quiet today, with only the soft hum of machines working in the background. He had been flying through space for many years, but today felt different somehow. "Sir, we have a problem," said Officer Mina as she hurried toward him. Her face looked worried, and she carried a data pad in her hands. Hyun stopped walking and turned to face her. "What kind of problem?" "The research ship Cosmic Explorer has gone missing. They were supposed to check in with us 3 days ago, but we haven't heard anything from them." Hyun felt his stomach drop. Missing ships were never good news. Where were they going? Mina looked down at her datapad, then back up at him. "That's the problem, sir. Their last known location was near Sector 7 Alpha." The bridge became very quiet. Every person working there had heard of Sector 7 Alpha. It was the place where humans used to live before they disappeared 50 years ago. Nobody talked about it much, but everyone knew the rules. Stay away from that area of space. "Are you sure?" Hyun asked, hoping he had heard wrong. "Yes, sir. Their last message came from just outside the boundary zone." Officer Jun looked up from his computer screen. "Why would a science ship go there? Everyone knows that area is off limits." "Maybe they got lost," suggested Engineer Hana from across the room. "Navigation systems can fail sometimes." Hyun walked over to the big screen that showed a map of space. The red zone around Sector 7 Alpha looked like a warning sign. Inside that red area, there had once been planets full of humans. Cities, farms, schools, families, all gone without any explanation. "Tell me what happened to the humans again," said young Officer Dong. He was new to the ship and had only heard stories. "Nobody knows for sure," Hyun answered. 50 years ago, humans were just like us. They had ships. They traded with other species. They explored space. Then one day, all their communication stopped. When other ships went to check on them, they found empty planets. No bodies, no destruction, no signs of fighting. Just nothing. "That's impossible," Dong said. "Billions of people don't just disappear." "That's what makes it scary," Jun replied. "Some people think they were taken by aliens. Others think they destroyed themselves somehow. But the strangest part is that their planets still look normal from space. Cities are still there. Lights still work, but nobody lives in them anymore." Hyun remembered the stories his teachers had told him when he was young. Back then, humans were known for being tough and hard to kill. They never gave up, even when things looked hopeless. Other species respected them, and some were even afraid of them. The idea that they could just vanish made no sense. "The Cosmic Explorer has 30 crew members," Mina said quietly. "We can't just leave them." Hyun knew she was right, but he also knew the rules. Every ship captain was told the same thing during training: avoid Sector 7 Alpha at all costs. Nobody ever explained why, but the order came from the highest levels of command. "Sir," Mina continued, "what if they're in trouble? What if they need help?" Hyun looked around at his crew. These people trusted him to make the right choices. He had kept them safe for many years by following the rules, but now those same rules might mean letting 30 people die. "Have you tried contacting them on all frequencies?" he asked. "Yes, sir." "Nothing. Not even an emergency beacon." Hyun walked back to his command chair and sat down. The leather felt cold against his back. He thought about the missing ship and the people who might be trapped or hurt. He also thought about the warnings he had received about the dead zone. "What do the regulations say about rescue missions?" he asked. Hana looked up from her engineering station. "Rescue missions override most other orders, sir, but there are exceptions for certain areas of space." "And Sector 7 Alpha?" "It's listed as a special exception zone. Permission required from Fleet Command before any ship can enter." Hyun knew that getting permission could take days or weeks. By then, the Cosmic Explorer crew would be dead if they were in real trouble. "Sir, I'm picking up something strange," Dong said suddenly. "It's very faint, but I think it might be a distress signal." Everyone turned to look at him. "From the missing ship?" "I'm not sure. The signal is coming from inside the zone, but it's not like any distress call I've ever heard. It's almost like music." Hyun felt a chill run down his back. "Music?" "Yes, sir. Very soft, but definitely there. And sir? Our computer systems are acting a little strange. Nothing serious, but small glitches here and there. Hyun made his decision. Set course for Sector 7 Alpha. We'll stay outside the boundary, but we need to look for that ship. Are you sure, sir? Mina asked. 30 lives are worth the risk. Besides, we're not actually entering the zone. We're just getting close. As the Stellar Dawn changed direction toward the forbidden area, none of the crew noticed the tiny changes happening to their ship's computers. Deep in the electronic systems, something was waking up. The Stellar Dawn had been flying toward the forbidden zone for 3 days now. Commander Hyun sat in his chair, watching the stars move slowly past the main window. Something felt wrong, but he could not say what it was. Sir, you need to see this, called out Officer Dong from his scanner station. His voice sounded confused and worried. Hyun got up and walked over to look at Dong's computer screen. The display showed a planet that should have been empty and dead. Instead, the screen showed cities with lights, farms with growing plants, and even ships flying around in space. This can't be right, Hyun said. Run the scan again. Dong pressed some buttons and the scanner worked again. This time the screen showed the same planet, but now it looked completely empty. No lights, no ships, no signs of life at all. What just happened? Hyun asked. I don't know, sir. The first scan showed millions of people living there. The second scan showed nothing. It's like the planet keeps changing. Engineer Hana walked over to join them. Our computers have been acting strange since we got close to this area. Small problems, but they're getting worse. What kind of problems? Hyun wanted to know. The navigation system keeps trying to change our course. The lights flicker on and off. And the food machines are making meals that none of our species eat. Officer Jun looked up from his communication station. Sir, I'm getting weird signals from all over this area. They sound like voices, but I can't understand what they're saying. Hyun felt more worried with each passing hour. Play the sounds for us. Jun pressed a button and soft voices filled the bridge. The sounds were definitely from intelligent beings, but the words made no sense. Sometimes the voices sounded happy, sometimes sad, sometimes like they were singing. Those are human voices, said Medical Officer Sue as she walked onto the bridge. I've studied old recordings of human speech, that's definitely their language. But humans disappeared 50 years ago, Mina said. How can we be hearing their voices? I don't know, Sue replied. But there's something else. Half of our crew is having the same dream every night. They dream about a planet with blue skies, green grass, and children playing. The strange thing is, none of our people have ever seen a planet like that. Our home worlds are very different. Hyun felt a cold feeling in his stomach. How is that possible? I've been thinking about it, Sue continued. What if the dreams are not coming from our minds? What if something is putting them there? Before anyone could answer, all the computer screens on the bridge suddenly changed. Instead of showing normal information, they now showed writing in many different languages. Some languages Hyun recognized, but others looked completely alien. Tier writing said, Warning, you are getting close to protected space. Go back now or you will learn things that will change you forever. Did everyone see that? Hyun asked quietly. His crew nodded, but their faces showed fear and confusion. The message stayed on the screens for a few more seconds, then everything went back to normal. Log everything, Hyun ordered. Every strange reading, every weird sound, every computer problem. I want records of all of it. Over the next few hours, the strange events got worse. Officer Dong reported seeing huge space stations that appeared and disappeared in seconds. The ship's artificial intelligence started talking to itself in languages that did not exist in any database. And the dreams that the crew was having became more detailed and more real. Sir, Mina said during the night shift, I had that dream again. But this time I could smell flowers and feel wind on my face. It was so real that I thought I was actually there. Me too, said June. And in my dream there was a human who looked right at me and smiled. He said something, but I couldn't understand the words. Hyun was starting to understand that they were dealing with something far beyond normal space exploration. The zone around the old human territory was not just empty space. Something was living there, something that could affect their minds and their machines. Should we turn back? Hana asked. This is getting dangerous. Hyun thought about the 30 people on the missing research ship. Were they experiencing the same things? Were they still alive, or had whatever lived in this zone taken them too? We keep going, he decided. But we stay alert, and we stay together. If anyone starts acting strange, tell me immediately. As the stellar dawn moved deeper into the edge of human space, the crew began to notice other changes. Colors seemed brighter, sounds seemed clearer, and sometimes, just for a moment, they could see things that should not exist. Buildings made of light, ships that flew without engines, and people who looked human but seemed to glow with their own inner fire. Sir, Dong whispered, I think we're being watched. Hyun looked out the main window at the stars. By who? I don't know. But something is out there, and it knows we're here. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone could feel it now, the sense that invisible eyes were studying them from the darkness of space. Whatever had happened to humanity 50 years ago, they were about to discover the truth, and the truth was watching them approach. The change happened so fast that nobody had time to be scared. 1 second, the stellar dawn was flying through normal space. The next second, they were somewhere completely different. Commander Hyun looked around the bridge with wide eyes. The walls of his ship were gone. Instead, they were standing in a huge room that seemed to be made of stars and light. The floor felt solid under their feet, but it looked like they were walking on pieces of the night sky. Where are we? Whispered Officer Mina. Her voice sounded small in the enormous space. I don't think we're on our ship anymore, said Engineer Hana. She reached out to touch what should have been a wall, but her hand passed through light that felt warm and alive. A figure began to appear in front of them. It started as just a glow of light, but slowly became the shape of a person. As the light faded, they could see it was a human man. He looked young, maybe 30 years old, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Welcome, the man said. His voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, even though they could see his lips moving. Please do not be afraid. You are safe here. Hyun stepped forward, trying to be brave even though his heart was beating very fast. Who are you? What happened to our ship? My name is Tai, the human replied. Your ship is fine. You are still inside it, in a way. But you are also here with me, in a place between spaces. That doesn't make sense, said Officer June. We can't be in two places at the same time. Tae smiled sadly. Many things that seem impossible become possible when you understand the true nature of reality. But let me answer your real question. You want to know what happened to humanity. Medical Officer Sue moved closer. You're human, but humans disappeared 50 years ago. We did not disappear, Tae explained. We chose to become something more than what we were. When we realized that the galaxy was full of fighting and war, we decided to find a different way to live. The room around them began to change. Now they could see images in the walls, pictures of Earth as it used to be, with blue oceans and green forests. Then the images changed to show something amazing. Cities that floated in the air, people who could fly without machines, and technology that looked like magic. Evolution, Tae said simply. Not evolution of the body, but evolution of the mind and spirit. We learned that physical form is just the beginning of what intelligent life can become. Beginning of what? Asked scanner operator Dong. Consciousness. Without limits, Tae replied. The ability to exist beyond the need for planets or ships or even bodies. We discovered that thought itself can be more powerful than any weapon or tool. The images showed humans who seemed to be made of light, creating beautiful things just by thinking about them. They built worlds from pure energy and traveled between stars by willing themselves to be there. So you're still alive, Hyun said. All of you. Alive, yes, but not in the way you understand life. We exist in many places at once. We can be here, talking to you, while also being on Earth, or exploring distant galaxies, or simply resting in the peace between thoughts. Chief Engineer Hana looked skeptical. If you became so powerful, why are you hiding? Why do all the other species think you're gone? Tay's expression became more serious. Because power without wisdom is dangerous. We had to learn this the hard way. Before we evolved, humans were known for being strong fighters. We were good at war, good at conquest. But we realized that path would only lead to destruction. The room showed new images. Terrible wars between different species, planets destroyed by weapons, and endless cycles of violence that went on for thousands of years. So we chose to step back from that world. Tay continued. We became watchers instead of fighters. We study the other species of the galaxy, trying to understand which ones might be ready to evolve as we did. You've been watching us? Mina asked. For 50 years we have been watching everyone. Every species that comes near our old territory gets tested without knowing it. The dreams your crew has been having, the strange things happening to your computers, the voices you've been hearing, all of these are ways we learn about who you really are. Officer Sue stepped forward. What kind of tests? Tests of curiosity versus aggression. Tests of wisdom versus greed. Tests of cooperation versus domination. Most species fail these tests. They see our empty worlds and think only about what they can take or conquer. And if they fail? Hyun asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. Nothing happens to them directly, but they find themselves unable to see the truth. Their sensors show them only empty space. Their minds create barriers that prevent them from understanding what they are not ready to know. Tay looked at each member of the crew carefully. But you are different. You came here to save others, not to take something for yourselves. That is why you can see me now. That is why you are here in this place between worlds. What happens now? Hyun asked quietly. Tay's smile returned. Now you must choose what to do with this knowledge, and that choice will determine not just your own future, but the future of your entire species. The weight of those words settled on the crew like a heavy blanket. They had come looking for a missing ship, but instead they had found the secret that could change everything. The strange room around them changed again. Now Commander Hyun and his crew stood in what looked like a giant library, but instead of books, there were streams of light flowing everywhere like rivers. Each stream seemed to carry information about different worlds and different species across the galaxy. This is how we see the universe now, Tay explained, gesturing to the flowing lights. Every piece of information, every thought, every action of every intelligent being becomes part of this great collection of knowledge. Officer Dong stared at the streams with wonder. You can see everything that happens? Not everything, but much more than we could when we had physical bodies. We watch, we learn, and most importantly, we judge. The word judge made Hyun feel uncomfortable. What do you mean by judge? Tay waved his hand, and the streams of light formed pictures in the air. They showed different alien species approaching the area where humans used to live. Some ships came with weapons ready to fight. Others came with mining equipment, hoping to take resources from empty planets. A few came with scientific instruments, curious about what had happened. Every species that comes to our territory tells us who they really are, Tay said. Their intentions, their fears, their hopes. We can see it all through the tests we give them. Medical Officer Sue stepped closer to one of the light streams. The dreams we had, those were tests? Yes. Dreams reveal the true nature of a being's heart. The way your ship's computers acted, the voices you heard, the things you saw that appeared and disappeared, all tests designed to measure not just your intelligence, but your character. Engineer Hana crossed her arms. And what did you learn about us? That your species has potential, Tay replied. You came here to save others, not to take something for yourselves. When faced with the unknown, you showed curiosity instead of fear. When your equipment failed, you worked together, instead of fighting each other. The images in the air changed to show Hyun's crew during their journey. They could see themselves making decisions, helping each other, and staying calm during frightening moments. But potential is not the same as readiness, Tay continued. Your species still fights wars over territory and resources. You still believe that having more things will make you happy. You still think that being stronger than others is the path to safety? Officer June looked sad. So we failed the test? You did not fail, but you did not completely pass either. You are in between, capable of growth but still tied to old ways of thinking. The streams of light showed more images. This time they could see their own home worlds, with cities full of people going about their daily lives. But they could also see the problems. Wars between different groups, pollution destroying beautiful places, and people who had so much while others had nothing. This is why we must be careful about who we reveal ourselves to, Tay explained. Knowledge without wisdom can be very dangerous. If we gave advanced technology to species that are not ready, they would use it to cause more harm than good, Navigator. Mina pointed to the flowing lights. What happens to the species that are ready? They are invited to evolve as we did, to leave behind the physical world and join us in this higher form of existence. But it requires giving up many things that most beings are not willing to lose. What kind of things? Hyun asked. Individual ownership. The idea that you can possess things or control others. The belief that your group is more important than all other groups. The fear of death that makes you cling to physical bodies. Communications. Officer June shook his head. That sounds impossible. How can anyone give up everything they are? You do not give up who you are, Tay said gently. You become more than you were. But it requires trust and faith in something bigger than yourself. The room showed them images of evolved humans creating beautiful things with pure thought, healing damaged worlds by willing them to be whole and existing in perfect harmony with the universe around them. It looks wonderful, Sue said quietly, but also terrifying. All real growth is both wonderful and terrifying, Tay agreed. That is why we test species for so long before we approach them directly. Most are not ready for this choice. Some never will be. Hyun felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. What about the research ship we came looking for? The Cosmic Explorer? They are safe. They experienced the same tests you did, but they were not ready to see the truth. They will wake up on their ship with no memory of this place, believing they simply had navigation problems. And us? Hana asked. What happens to us now? Ty's expression became very serious. That depends on what you choose to do with this knowledge. You can return to your people and tell them the truth about what happened to humanity. But if you do, it will change everything. Some will want to find us and force us to share our technology. Others will be afraid and try to destroy this area of space. There will be wars and chaos. The streams of light showed possible futures. Fleets of warships attacking the human zone, different species fighting each other for the right to claim human technology, and worlds burning in conflicts that could last for centuries. Or, Tay continued, you can keep this secret and help prepare your people slowly, carefully, for the choice that all intelligent species must eventually make. Hyun looked at his crew. Each face showed the same mixture of wonder, fear, and uncertainty that he felt in his own heart. How do we decide something like this? He asked. Very carefully, Tay replied, because your choice will determine the future of not just your species but many others as well. The strange room filled with flowing light began to fade away. Commander Hyun felt a pulling sensation, like being gently lifted by invisible hands. When his vision cleared, he was back on the bridge of the stellar dawn. Everything looked exactly as it had before. The same metal walls, the same computer, screens, the same view of stars through the windows. His crew stood around him, blinking and looking confused. Officer Mina touched her face as if checking that she was real. Engineer Hana walked over to her station and ran her hands over the familiar controls. Did that really happen? Whispered scanner operator Dong. Before anyone could answer, a new ship appeared on their screens. It was the Cosmic Explorer, floating peacefully in space nearby. The missing research vessel looked perfectly normal, with no damage or signs of trouble. Sir, we're getting a communication from the Cosmic Explorer, reported Officer June. They're asking for help with their navigation system. They say they've been drifting for several days and don't know where they are. Hyun walked to his command. Chair slowly. His legs felt weak and his mind was still trying to understand what had happened. Are they hurt? No, sir, they sound fine. Just confused about their location. The communication system crackled to life. This is Captain Lee of the Cosmic Explorer. We've had some equipment problems and lost our position. Can you help us get back to our scheduled route? Hyun looked at his crew. Captain Lee sounded normal, with no memory of anything strange happening. Just as Tae had promised, they remembered nothing of their encounter with evolved humanity. Of course, Captain Lee. We'll guide you back to the shipping lanes. Stand by. As June began giving navigation instructions to the other ship, Admiral Kim's voice came through the long-range communicator. Commander Hyun, report your status. Did you locate the missing vessel? This was the moment Hyun had been dreading. He looked around at his crew again. Medical Officer Sue was watching him carefully. Navigator Mina had worry in her eyes. They all knew what he was about to say would change everything. Admiral, we found the Cosmic Explorer. They had navigation problems and were drifting in empty space. No signs of danger in Sector 7 Alpha. The area remains uninhabited. Good work, Commander. Return to base for standard debriefing. When the communication ended, the bridge became very quiet. Everyone understood what Hyun had just done. He had chosen to keep the secret, at least for now. Sir, Sue said quietly. Was that the right choice? Hyun sat down heavily in his chair. I don't know, but I know what would happen if I told the truth. Within days, there would be warships heading for human space. Different species would fight each other for the right to claim their technology. Millions would die in wars that could last for generations. But we're lying to our own people, Hana pointed out. They have a right to know. Do they? Hyun asked. If knowing the truth would only cause suffering and destruction, is it really better to tell them? Young Officer Dong looked troubled. What about the choice Tae talked about? The chance for our species to evolve like the humans did? That choice will still be there, Mina said thoughtfully. But maybe we need to prepare people slowly, carefully, instead of shocking them with the truth all at once. Over the next few hours, as they guided the Cosmic Explorer back to safe space, Hyun's crew began to discuss what they had learned. They talked quietly, making sure no one else on the ship could hear them. I keep thinking about those images Tai showed us, Sue said. The humans who could create things with pure thought, who could heal damaged worlds. Imagine if we could learn to do that. But it means giving up everything we think we know about life, June replied. No more owning things, no more fighting for territory, no more being afraid of death. That's scary. Maybe scary things are worth doing if they lead to something better, Dong suggested. As days passed and they returned to their normal duties, subtle changes began happening throughout the ship. Crew members who had not been on the bridge during the encounter started having strange dreams. The ship's computers occasionally displayed messages in languages that should not exist, and sometimes, late at night, people reported hearing soft music that seemed to come from empty space. It's starting, Hyun realized. Whatever the humans did to test us, it's still working. It's spreading to the rest of the crew. Should we stop it? Hana asked. Can we stop it? Mina wondered. Hyun thought about Tai's words about choice and preparation. No, we let it happen naturally, but we watch carefully, and we help people understand what they're experiencing. Slowly, very quietly, small groups of crew members began meeting to discuss the strange things happening on their ship. They shared dreams and experiences that seemed impossible but felt completely real. They began asking questions about the nature of consciousness and reality that they had never thought to ask before. When they finally returned to their home base, Hyun filed his official report about finding the Cosmic Explorer in empty space. But he also began having private conversations with other ship commanders, carefully testing their readiness for deeper truths. Some of us know things that could change everything, he would say carefully. But knowledge shared too quickly can be dangerous. Are you interested in learning more? Some commanders walked away thinking Hyun was just tired from his mission, but others leaned forward with curiosity in their eyes. And Hyun knew he had found people who might be ready to hear about humanity's true fate. The choice was spreading. one conversation at a time, one opened mind at a time. And somewhere in the space between dimensions, Tay smiled and continued watching over those who were slowly choosing to evolve beyond the limitations of their old understanding. The galaxy was beginning to change, quietly and carefully, just as it should be.